Good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today. I'm going to share with you guys what we've been working on over the last year in the developer ecosystem. And in fact, this is without a doubt the biggest, most important day that we have ever had in the Atlassian ecosystem. But before I get to that, let me share for a moment sort of how things have been going over the last year. Well, we've been putting up some pretty big numbers. Every month, we have over 100 new add-on developers register with us. Now, these are folks who are building add-ons for their internal use, folks who are working on open source projects, and folks who are building commercial add-ons. And we know that those add-ons are being shared on the Atlassian marketplace because we've seen 260 new add-ons added this year. That's 40% growth over the previous year for a total of over 900 add-ons available on the marketplace today. And those add-ons are under active development because we've got 2,300 new versions released just in the last 12 months. That's 70% growth year over year. Total of 5,500 add-ons that have been, or add-on versions that have been released over the lifespan of the marketplace. And there's one more number that I found really impressive. In the last 12 months, those add-ons have been downloaded over 1 million times. So we know that our customers are getting huge amounts of value out of the work that you guys are doing here in the ecosystem. That's 50% more downloads this year than previously. There have been over 3 million add-ons downloaded since the very beginning of the marketplace back in 2007. Now, as I was pulling all these numbers over the last week and doing a little bit of research, there was one more number that I found that just blew me away. It turns out that over 50% of Atlassian customers have not yet installed an add-on. So those are thousands of customers who are just waiting to discover all the enormous things that you guys have been doing that are available in our ecosystem today. So hopefully that will show you a little bit about how things have been going over the last year, show you where we've come from in the last 12 months, and give you a taste of how much growth there still is available left in front of us. Now, let's look at our agenda for today. At Atlassian, we want to make sure that you have the tools that you need to build add-ons, to share add-ons, and to sell add-ons. So let's start with build. Now, at Atlassian, we believe that everything starts with great products. So we're continually trying to make those better and more powerful for add-on developers. In the last year, we've made some huge enhancements to our product suite that directly benefit you guys. Let's take a look at JIRA first up. Now, we've made one significant under-the-covers change that I would like to start with. I talked about this at Summit last year when I gave this same State of the Union speech, and I promised that we would finally allow all plugins in JIRA to be fully reloadable. We promised it at Summit, and we delivered it by AtlasCamps. In JIRA 4.4, we delivered full plugin reloadability. That means that not only is your development cycle faster and easier, but it also makes it much easier for customers to find, download, and install add-ons. They don't have to wait for a restart anymore. Now, JIRA is also improving on the API front. With JIRA, the release of JIRA 5 this year, we released a brand new REST remote API. And it covers almost everything that you would want to do with JIRA issues. In fact, we built 2 major features on top of that REST API that people in the ecosystem like you are already taking advantage of. The first is remote issue links. So you can link your JIRA issues with external content in any other system. For example, test cases from Enterprise Tester or Zephyr, Salesforce accounts, Zendesk tickets, UTest sessions, or files in the cloud from popular services like Dropbox, Box.net, Alfresco, or Google Docs. And you can do all of this with a REST API. And it shows up in the application looking fantastic. We also added a new feature called remote activity streams. So if you've used JIRA, you know that you can get an activity stream of chronological activity on any issue or any project, or even any filter of those things. What we added was the ability for third-party developers like you to push activity into that stream via the remote API. So you can connect those tickets with activity in your remote system. For example, test sessions in Bonfire, actual tests in Zephyr, your time and billing information from Tempo, or requirements from something like Enterprise Tester. So those are 2 awesome features that you can take advantage of fully from the remote API. But we also added a bunch of capabilities that allow traditional plugin developers who exist inside the application to do more powerful things. The most important of those is the introduction of active objects. It's powerful storage for your add-on. It's a simple, lightweight ORM that exists inside of JIRA, so you have the full power of the database accessible to your plugin for the first time. You can configure, store, and access structured data, and you have the assurance that the data that you store is a fully fledged member of JIRA. It is backed up, exported, imported, and restored, exactly like the JIRA data through the processes that we already use. We also improved things for the internal API. So for the first time in JIRA 5, we committed to a stable public API. If you're an add-on developer and you can depend on those public APIs exclusively, we guarantee that your add-on will be binary compatible all the way up until JIRA 6.0, the next major release of the product. And we expect those major releases to happen about every 12 to 18 months. So we made this commitment to help you guys focus more on developing awesome features and less on having to maintain compatibility release after release. That public API will expand over time, and as you find aspects of the product that you want to take advantage of that are not part of the public API, let us know, and we can add those in a safe and maintainable way. Now, let's take a look at Confluence for a minute. Obviously, the biggest feature in Confluence in the last year was our brand new rich text editor. Now, if you've seen the demos and if you heard about this in the keynote, then you know that it is a fantastically more powerful way to create content. But it's also a more powerful tool for plugin developers like you. Inside the new editor, we added a ton of new plugin points. For example, you can add items into the editor menus. You can create custom editor panes for your macro. And you can add placeholders that allow editors or content creators to edit your macro from directly within that view. You can add dynamic property panels, placeholders, and you can also do auto-convert when you paste in links. So all this is accessible to add-on developers like you. And we haven't been quiet on the API front in Confluence either. In 4.2, we released the Confluence JSON RPC API, which exposes all of Confluence's powerful remote APIs over a REST-like interface. Now we'll turn for a moment to Bamboo, which also had major changes this year. They introduced a brand new task framework. Now, tasks are just customizable steps that you can insert into any build plan. But they built this framework with developers in mind. So it's super simple to program, super simple to add, and there are already over 3 dozen of these available in the Atlassian marketplace. So that's what we've done to improve our existing products. But we didn't stop there. We actually introduced a brand new product that you get to play with, and that's Stash, DVCS repository management for the enterprise. We think that distributed version control is the most important development shift in a decade. These shifts don't come along very often, but when they do, they take the entire industry. And Stash is how we will help your teams convert from traditional version control systems like Subversion or Perforce into the new world of Git and Mercurial. So that's what Stash does, but as far as you're concerned as add-on developers, Stash is fantastic because it's got a full plugins API, just like all the Atlassian products with which you're already familiar. It's got a full remote API, REST-based for every interaction that you can do inside the products. And as of Stash 1.1, it will be marketplace ready. It includes the UPM and is integrated with marketplace.atlassian.com. So there's an enormous amount of opportunity for add-on developers here. This is a brand new product in a hugely important space, and it's greenfield development. The product is awesome. I've been using it inside Atlassian already, and I'm in love with it. I can't wait for the chance to try to extend it with the plugin power that exists inside that product. But that's not the only new product that we introduced this year. We also acquired a new service called HipChat. It's a group chat and IM collaboration tool, and my team has also been using this, and we could not live without it. Now, unlike many Atlassian products, HipChat is it's a software as a service, so it only runs in the cloud. But that doesn't mean you can't integrate it with it, though. Although you can't write a plugin for it, it does have a full remote API. We've already written integrations between our products like Confluence, JIRA, and Bamboo into HipChat, but you can also talk to third-party services like Zendesk or internal apps that you might have behind the firewall. So check out what you can do with a remote API in HipChat and try it out on your teams. We've found it incredibly useful. Here's a quick example of some of the places where we're pushing data from our applications into HipChat. You can see here commits from Fisheye, builds both passing and failing from Bamboo. You can see reviews, you can see blog posts that were published in Confluence, and tickets filed in JIRA. So as you can see, our developers have been hard at work to make our products ever more extendable. But we've also added a bunch of tools for add-on developers as well. At AtlasCamp this year, we introduced a brand new developer site, developer.atlassian.com, where we've consolidated all of the documentation we've created over the years into one simple-to-search site. And this week, we launched brand new Getting Started docs, completely rewritten from the ground up and focusing for the first time on Windows and Eclipse. If you've been around Atlassian very long, you know that most of us inside the company use Mac and IDEA to do our development, but we know that people in the community from things like Google Analytics, many of you are using Windows and many of you are using Eclipse. So that's what we focused our Getting Started documentation on. We also announced at AtlasCamp and have shipped something called the Developer Toolbox. Now this is an add-on that gets installed automatically anytime you run an Atlassian product from the SDK. And it bundles a bunch of the tools that we've built over the years that are useful for developers. For example, the REST API browser, which we showed you at AtlasCamp this year. This is a way that you can see the available APIs inside any running Atlassian application. And you can actually manipulate those and try test calls. You can see all the parameters, all the different HTTP states, and you can test those requests against a live server with real data. So it's a fantastic way for doing remote development to figure out what's possible, to sort out your calls before you actually have to insert them into your code. We demoed that at AtlasCamp sort of as a one-off. Rich Manalang built that just for his talk. And we got such a great response from you guys that we went back home and turned it into a product and shipped it as part of this developer toolbox. And there's one more first. For the very first time, we are offering official Atlassian plugin development training. As a matter of fact, yesterday, we had about 50 people take our first JIRA plugin development class. We started with JIRA, we'll be adding Confluence soon. And we're gonna offer these plugin training classes before all of our events over the course of the year. But we don't wanna make you wait for those events if you're eager to get started now. So all the materials that we've created for these classes will be available online on developer.atlassian.com so you can take these classes at your own pace in a self-service way. So we hope these new tools, APIs, and plugin capabilities will help you build fantastic add-ons. But what happens after you've built something? Well, we certainly hope that you'll share them. And if we want to improve the way you share add-ons, the first place to start is with marketplace.atlassian.com. If you've been paying attention, you saw over the last few months a brand new design with tons of new features that was released at AtlasCamp Europe this spring. Things like vastly improved searching. We make it much easier to find supported commercial add-ons. And we highlight a bunch of the non-Atlassian add-ons so users can learn about and benefit from the vast diversity that we have in our ecosystem. We released the ability to let vendors respond directly to reviews in public so that customers can see the service that you're offering and make wise judgments about your plugin. We also try to guide those users to a better support experience by combining the resources that you give us, things like issue trackers and support systems, with the community at answers.atlassian.com. So that's how you share plugins. But we also want to make sure that you can keep them up to date. And so that's where checkup.atlassian.com comes in. We introduced this at AtlasCamp as well. And it's a service that lets you take any plugin and scan it against any version of our products. We'll show you methods that you call that are missing, methods that have been deprecated, and then what you're calling that's private and what you're calling that's public. So you can use this information to identify product changes that might affect your add-on. And you can choose wisely which APIs to depend on. It's been used over 700 times since AtlasCamp, and we can tell that it's having an effect because more and more plugins are available and compatible with new releases of our products on day one. We also want to help you collaborate around the work that you're doing. Collaboration has always been fundamental to the Atlassian ecosystem. We built our company on open source, and most of the add-ons that are available today started as open source. So as we grow, we want to make sure we encourage that same spirit of collaboration. The place to start there is with Atlassian Answers. There's an incredibly active community of really, really smart developers who are already active there. If you've looked, you can see that development questions are some of the most popular topics on Answers. Well, we're doubling down here. We've actually hired 2 full-time Atlassians to work on answers.atlassian.com specifically. They'll spend part of their time answering questions directly, and they'll spend part of their time working to improve the service and encourage more people to participate in that community. And I couldn't talk about collaboration if I didn't mention Bitbucket. This is the best place to give your code a home on the web. It helps you manage contribution from the active community that many of our add-ons have, and you can use things like pull requests to allow people to suggest changes and then pull them into the main line of development. So Bitbucket is the best place to collaborate online, but the best place to collaborate in real life is at AtlasCamp, our yearly developers-only event. This year's edition will be happening on September 19th in Half Moon Bay, just about an hour from here. And some of you may also know that we ran our very first AtlasCamp Europe this spring, and that was a huge success. We had more people at the AtlasCamp Europe than we've ever had at AtlasCamp in San Francisco. So we're certainly going to have another version of that. But it's going to be next fall, immediately after the Half Moon Bay event. So tickets are not yet available, but as soon as they will be in the next few weeks, and as soon as they are, we'll be sure to let you know. So mark your calendars, both for the San Francisco AtlasCamp and the Europe AtlasCamp. And one more event on our calendar is Geist, our annual add-on development competition, where $45,000 in cash prizes are up for grabs for the best Atlassian add-ons. That contest started today, and you've got 6 weeks to build and submit a fantastic add-on. Everything you need to know is at codegeist.com, and you'll actually do your submissions on marketplace.atlassian.com. So those are some great ways to share your add-ons and collaborate on them with the Atlassian community. But many of you have gone even further, and you've actually sold your add-ons. In fact, about a quarter of all available add-ons are now commercial. And let's face it, those add-ons are awesome. In fact, they're so awesome that customers actually want to buy a ton of them. But it turns out that buying those add-ons is actually kind of a pain. And selling the add-ons is actually kind of a pain for you guys as developers. We've been hearing this complaint since the very first commercial add-on became available. It's hard for developers because you have to spend a lot of time doing things that are not developing your product. You've got to build a licensing system. You have to build a storefront and an e-commerce system. You have to deal with setting up a company and figuring out terms and conditions and dealing with lawyers. You have to spend time chasing renewals. All that is time that you're not coding. But on the flip side, we also heard that it was hard for customers because every add-on is different. Different vendors, different terms, different licensing models, different payment systems, different billing cycles. All of those things add up to roadblocks. That means customers just don't buy because it's too much of a hassle. Well, I said at the top that this is the biggest day that we've ever had in the history of the Atlassian ecosystem. And this is why. Because we have solved that problem. Today, we are officially launching the Atlassian Marketplace. It's the best place to sell your add-on to 100,000 of the world's best development teams. And we make it easy to buy hundreds of the world's most powerful development tools. We opened the marketplace 8 weeks ago at AtlasCamp to developers. And in that time, we've made 59 add-ons available. Take a look at some of the fantastic vendors that have already jumped in and are offering their wares on the Atlassian Marketplace. Now, as my team and I have worked on this over the last 9 months, we've had one goal in mind, and that was to make things easy. We want to make it easy for customers to buy, and we want to make it easy for you to sell. Now, it's easy for customers because they get to interact with Atlassian. They can buy from someone they know. We know that add-ons make products more valuable. So the Atlassian Marketplace will let customers buy them together. And the Marketplace will allow customers to renew them with ease. They can renew the products and the add-ons at the same time on the same invoice in the same transaction. But it's also easy for developers because there's less code for you to write and maintain. No more license creation or validation, management or storage. You don't have to build a user interface for any of that. We'll provide all that for you. you get to plug into our proven end-to-end business engine. We spent 10 years building a killer business engine, and we don't want you to have to reinvent that wheel. Third, you get in-product access to every Atlassian customer. You reach them where they live. You use the systems that they are already familiar with, and you benefit from the trust that they have in Atlassian. You know, we've built our business by focusing on low-touch, high-volume sales. But I know from talking to many of you in the ecosystem that you take a very active role in selling every license that you sell. You spend hours on the phone and in email negotiating with buyers and answering questions to sell each and every license. But what if you didn't have to do that? Some of our early marketplace partners are already reporting large license sales where they never spoke to the customer. The customer just showed up and bought. So how is that possible? Well, let's take a look. I'll show you a quick video of how plugins are tried and bought through the Atlassian Marketplace. So that was super easy. Now let's say I use that plugin for a few days and I decide it meets my needs and I'm ready to buy. You go back to the Universal Plugin Manager and you walk through that process. So for customers, it's the easiest way to find and purchase add-ons. You remove the roadblocks that make it hard to buy. For developers, it's the easiest way to sell your add-on. You get to focus on what's important, building a kick-ass product. But I know that there's another question that you're asking if you're a developer, and that's what's the business deal? Well, we try to keep this as simple as possible also. Anytime your add-on is sold, 75% of the revenue goes directly to the developer. There are no payment processing fees. Atlassian will handle all the sales tax and the VAT tax, and you get full integration into our systems. 25% of the revenue stays with Atlassian to help us run the marketplace and reinvest in the ecosystem. Think of all the things you no longer have to do. You don't have to build a licensing system into your plugin. You don't have to build a shopping cart. You can use ours. You don't have to maintain a payment gateway. We've got 3 of them. You don't have to do billing or invoicing. You can use ours. We'll collect all the taxes for you and remit them to the appropriate authorities, and we'll handle renewals. We'll let customers know when their time is up and let them renew with their products. So how does all this work? We're going to talk about the technical requirements of the marketplace, the business decisions that went into the marketplace, and the new marketing opportunities that are available for you with the launch of the Atlassian Marketplace. So let's start with the technical side. If you spend any time in the ecosystem so far, I'm sure you're familiar with these 3 technologies: the Plugin Exchange, the Universal Plugin Manager, and my.atlassian.com. Well, today, we renamed the Plugin Exchange to marketplace.atlassian.com. But really, you should think about these 3 things as a unified whole. We've welded them together into a seamless experience to let customers buy add-ons directly from us. Now, we know if you're selling an add-on, one of the things that you're concerned about is to make sure that you can sell to the largest number of customers as possible. So backwards compatibility is very important. And I'm happy to announce that you can sell a marketplace add-on that will work with Confluence 3.1, JIRA 4.1, Bamboo 2.6, or Fisheye 2.4. So in most cases, this hits our 2-year end of lifetime support goal, and it matches what many of you in the ecosystem were already doing. This should cover the vast majority of Atlassian customers. But we also wanted to make sure it was as easy as possible to adopt the system. So we invested heavily in our tutorials and in code generation so that you will have to write as little code as possible, and you will change your add-on as little as necessary. You'll see full details about all this in the next talk, Intro to the Marketplace, given by John Kodamal. Let's take a moment and look at the business decisions that went into this marketplace. There's a lot that goes into building a software business. As I said, we spent 10 years refining ours, and we know that our customers respond to it. So we want to share that experience with you. And as we've made every one of these decisions, we've had one guiding principle. That was, don't make me think. We don't want the customers to have to think too hard about the differences between one add-on and the next so that they feel comfortable buying. And we don't want you as a developer to have to spend a lot of cycles trying to figure out the parameters of your business when we've spent 10 years experimenting with ours. So we valued simplicity and consistency to reduce the barriers to purchase. To start with, in licensing pricing, your add-on will match the user tier of the host product in which it is installed. This is better for a couple reasons. First of all, it's consistent with what we're already doing with our Atlassian add-ons. It's simple for the customer, so they don't have to worry about how many, like what type of license to get. They just have to match their host product. And it provides a better user experience for the users who will ultimately use this add-on. Certain people don't get locked out of functionality because they don't happen to belong to the right group. Your add-on will match the license type of the host product. So academic, community, open source, all of those are generated automatically for you. As a developer, you pick the commercial price, but we will calculate and automatically set all of the rest. Let's take a hypothetical example of a Confluence add-on. If you've ever bought Confluence, I'm sure you're familiar with these user tiers and the base price for each for Confluence Commercial. Now, I've decided to take this hypothetical add-on and sell it at 50% of the Confluence price. But I'm free to set this tier however I like. I could set the whole thing to $10 all the way down, or I could set them to $10,000 all the way up. However, once I've chosen the commercial price, the renewal price is calculated at 50% automatically. The academic is 50% automatically. Academic renewals, 50% of that. And community licenses are available for any registered community member or community license holder for free. So developers set the commercial price. 30-day evaluations are always free. Yearly renewals and academic licenses are 50% of the commercial. Community licenses are always free. Upgrades, they're calculated automatically using the same formula that we use for our own products. And the price is never less than $10 to make the transaction worth it for both of us. Now, the marketplace right now only supports behind the firewall instances. And we've had a lot of questions about on-demand. So we're working on that opportunity right now, and we'll have more to announce about that at AtlasCamp this fall. On the billing and invoicing front, users get to use our shopping cart. We'll send the evaluation reminders, the quotes, the invoices, and the renewal reminders. We know that one of the big barriers that customers have often cited for us are the terms and conditions. They don't want to have to go back to the legal department to get yet another vendor's terms approved. So by participating in the marketplace, you get a standard set of terms from Atlassian that apply to every add-on. That means that once the vendor has bought from us once, they don't have to go back to legal or purchasing to do so again. We try to keep this as simple as possible as well, and we think it will cover the vast majority of cases and the vast majority of vendors. I'm sure you're also familiar with the Atlassian Experts program. In fact, many of you probably are experts. So we've added that program into the marketplace as well. So optionally, vendors can offer a 20% incentive for experts who sell their plugin to customers, but it's completely opt-in. After the 20%, the revenue split will apply on the remainder. Vendors get paid monthly after a 30-day waiting period for chargebacks and renewals. But we know it's important that you have information about how your business is performing on a daily basis. So you get near real-time info for every license generated and every sale that goes through our system. Now let's take a moment and look at the marketing opportunities that are available with the new Atlassian Marketplace. So I mentioned the new look and feel. One of the major components of that is a banner rotation at the very top of marketplace.atlassian.com and inside the UPM. Marketplace plugins will rotate through with the banners that they submit. There's also the opportunity for placement on the main Atlassian website, Atlassian.com, on this custom-built Marketplace homepage. You can see the top grossing add-ons here before people click off to marketplace.atlassian.com. You'll also see that list of top grossing Marketplace sales here. And every Marketplace plugin is available directly in the Atlassian shopping cart, so customers can buy them and products at the same time. So we've talked about the technical requirements for the Marketplace, the business decisions that went into it, and the new marketing opportunities that are now available. If you want help in any of those areas, we're offering workshops where you can work one-on-one with our developers. All the ones for today are sold out, but there are some available for tomorrow, and you can go to this URL to sign up. So I do want to take a moment to step back and think about this question. Why are we doing this? Why is Atlassian investing so many developers and so much time into building this marketplace? Well, we know that amazing add-ons lead to awesome products. We can't build everything. We can't solve every customer request or address every possible market. But with your help, we can. Your add-ons make our products irreplaceable. But we also know that strong developers build better add-ons. If you're making money from an add-on, then you can hire developers. You can fix bugs. You can add features more quickly. You can stay up to date. And all of that adds up to a better experience for our customers. So our goal here is to help your businesses thrive and to bring new businesses into our ecosystem. Personally, my dream is that I can stand on this stage next year and we've seen a dozen new million-dollar businesses grow inside our ecosystem. So that's why we built the Atlassian Marketplace. The easiest, best way to sell an add-on. It'll save you time and effort. You can reach 100,000 of the world's best development teams. And it will rev your business engine to heights that you've never seen. That's what the Marketplace can do for you. Here's where you come in. Build something amazing. Thank you very much.